Okay, so here we want to look at 8.4, exercise 29, and this is another case where we want to use the quotient rule. And remember that says if the nth root of A and the nth root of B are real numbers, and B is not 0, then whenever I have a division of radicals, the nth root of A divided by the nth root of B, I can do the division first and then apply the radical, which is what the right-hand side of this equation says. So here that works really well. Sometimes this isn't always sometimes it's better to do it as the left side of the equation here says. Sometimes it's better to apply the radical and then divide. But in this case, it's best to divide and then apply the radical, which is what this right side of the equation is saying. So I'm going to do the square root of 120 x to the 5th over 5x. And that's actually the square root. 5 goes into 120 24 times, and then x to the 5th divided by x is x to the 4th. So now we need to simplify this radical, because this radical is not a perfect square. We will write it as two radicals. In the first radical, we're going to put the perfect square factors. So the perfect square that divides into 24 evenly is 4. So we're going to write 24 as 4 times 6. We're going to put the perfect square factor in the first radical, the imperfect square factor in the second radical, and then x to the 4th is a perfect square. So that goes in the first radical. And we are assuming that the variable is a non-negative value. So the square root of 4 is 2. The square root of x to the 4th is x squared. And remember, when I'm applying a radical to exponentials, x to the 4th is an exponential. I can find out the result of applying this radical. And what that does is it gives me x to a power. The power is the result. If the radical has an index of 2, I divide 2 into this power of 4. And that gives me the power to apply to x after I apply the square root. So whatever the index is, if it's 3, then you divide this power by 3. And in this first radical, if this was a cube root, we would have a power that was evenly divisible by 3. So 4th and so on. So 2x squared is multiplied by the square root of 6, and this is our final result.